Hello and welcome to the Power BI August 2020 update. In this video, we'll explore what's new this month and see some demos of the highlights. We have some exciting new updates for you in the reporting section. The first update is that for Personalize visuals, which is in preview, you can now use perspectives to choose a subset of that model that provides a more focused view. This can be helpful if you have a large data model and you want to scope the personalized visuals experience to a more manageable subset of fields. Sujatha will show us a demo of this feature.
Back in April, we released a new public preview feature called Personalized Visuals. This feature allowed your end users to be able to personalize or customize visuals to really meet their needs. So let's say here, for example, instead of seeing EU sales by platform, I actually want to see it by publisher. So what I can do here is then click on platform and then go ahead and change it to publisher. Now, one feedback that we got about this feature was that if you had a model with a lot of different fields, maybe you didn't want all those fields to overwhelm your end users. So there were requests of, can I give a subset of my data versus all of my measures and all of my dimensions so that I'm not overwhelming my end user. So in this release, we've done just that. We're now adding the ability for you to use perspectives in a way that can filter the fields which can be used in this experience. And so what I mean by that is, first if we look at the full fields list, in this page I'm not filtered down to anything, it's just the entire fields list, and you'll see that some of these fields may not be as useful. Like for example, this is the image field that's actually used in the report creation, but it's not really helpful in terms of my end users exploring the data. But now let's look at a different page where I've then filtered it down to a perspective. So let's enter personalized visuals here. And let's go ahead and change the legend. So you'll see here that the fields are now filtered to a perspective which I created and which was called new perspective. And this makes it a lot more manageable for my end users, because now I only have a select few measures and a select few dimensions for my end users to work with. So they're not necessarily overwhelmed by all of the different field options that are in the model, but rather I'm just customizing the experience so that they're seeing the measures that are easily understood by them and the dimensions that are easily understood and that are actually going to be used in terms of the things that they want to go and explore. So now let's switch to desktop to see the creation experience of this. So there are a couple prerequisites for this feature. First, you'll need to make sure that the report is enabled for personalized visuals. You can find this option in the options dialog under current file and report settings. Once you have it enabled, you can now get access to the new settings that we've added. You'll also need to do is, if you're creating the perspectives from scratch, you want to make sure that you download an external tool called Tabular Editor. Once you have this tool downloaded, you'll see that under the External Tools tab, Tabular Editor is the first icon right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to launch Tabular Editor. So now let's go ahead and create our very first perspective. You'll see that there is a folder here called Perspective. We're going to right click and then click New Perspective. So let's title it New Perspective. And to actually get the fields that we want into that perspective, we're going to need to open up the tables and right click to say Show in the Perspective. So let's say here I open up my tables and you'll see that it's the very same tables we have shown in Power BI Report. So let's say I want to start by looking at what's in the companies table. And let's say we add these fields into that perspective. So what we're going to do here is then right click and then see Show in Perspective, and then we're just going to add it to that new perspective that we created. We can do Show in Perspective, and you'll see if you try to add something that you've already added, when you click Show in Perspective, it's already disabled, which means that you've already added it to that perspective. So there's no need to go and add duplicate fields into that perspective. Let's go and add to new perspective. Added in the new perspective. So we've added all of those fields. And then in this table, I have a lot more measures here that I actually don't want to necessarily expose to my user. just because it's not going to be helpful in terms of their exploration. So like, for example, the image field here, it's mainly used in my report creation, but it's not going to be useful when they're actually going and exploring the data. So I'm just going to go ahead and select fields I think are actually going to be helpful, either dimensions or measures that are going to be helpful. So let's click Show in Perspective. And then we can go ahead and put some of these measures I think that would be helpful. So let's add global sales, U. Okay, so let's say I'm done and I've already added those as my fields within my perspective. Now you want to make sure, and this is super important, is that you go ahead and save it here first before you actually see the changes applied. So now that we've created the perspective and saved it to our model, we can now close out Tabular Editor and move back to Power BI Desktop. You want to make sure that you also save the file here so that those changes take into effect. Now let's go ahead and look at the settings options for how we can actually set the perspective for a given page. So let's say I want to set a perspective for Personalized Visual when it's used in this page. What I'll need to do then is go to the Format pane, and you'll see at the bottom we've added this new tab here called Personalized Visuals. So we're going to go ahead and open that. And the very first option you'll see is the Report Reader Perspective. So if we open this dropdown, you'll see that the perspective that we had just created is now populated there. So we're going to go ahead and select that. And you'll notice that if you want this perspective to get applied to the entire report, or essentially all the pages that are within the report right now, you can hit Apply to All Pages. But note that if you add more pages afterwards, you'll need to hit that button again so that it gets applied to the existing pages that you just added. So in our case, I'm just going to apply it here, and then the rest I'm just going to keep as the default. And then once this is done, I'm going to go ahead and hit Save. And then I'll publish it to the service.
Next, we're bringing Rectangular Lasso Select to data points as a preview feature. Now you can select data points on a visual by clicking and dragging over its plot area. Rien will give us a demo.
So back in April, we released Rectangle Select for visuals, which gave you a more convenient way to select multiple visuals at once by clicking and dragging on the report canvas. This month, we're bringing you a preview feature for that functionality, now extended to data points. So since it's a preview feature, in order to use this new Rectangle Select, let's go into the Options menu, and under the Preview Features section, make sure that Data Point Lasso Select, this box over here, is checked, which enables the preview feature. So when you edit a report, you will be able to create a selection rectangle in two different ways. The first is by holding down the Control key, clicking somewhere on a visual plot area, and dragging. As you can see, you've created a selection rectangle, and the way that Power BI treats it is it will act as if you have Control-clicked every single point inside the selection rectangle. So here it will be everything from after 2012 to after 2015, with a little exception in the middle, with those 3 points that are above the boundary of my selection rectangle. So let's click that and see what happens. And it's as if I've held down Control and individually clicked every single one of these points. And just as with Control clicking, if I hold down Control again and start a new selection rectangle, all of my previous selections won't be cleared. And if I select points that have already been selected, just as with Control, if I click an already selected point, it deselects it, the same thing happens here. So the points that have already been selected will be deselected, the points that have been the points that are unselected will be selected. It effectively toggles the selection state. And then we can click out of the plot area to clear the selection. That's the first way to do it. The second way to use the selection rectangle is with shift click drag. So the difference between shift click drag and control click drag is that shift does not deselect points that are inside your selection rectangle. So you can see that there are some unselected points here and there are some selected points here. If I control click dragged, what it would do is deselect these 5 points that have already been selected and then select the ones that have not. But with shift, as you can see, all of them are selected, and we're not clearing any selections at all. And so hopefully Shift allows you to just only add data points to your selection, and the combination of the two enables you to explore your data in a way that you find intuitive and fruitful. So those are the two ways to use the selection rectangle in edit mode. When you are viewing a report, then you have an additional control, which is to create a selection rectangle simply by clicking and dragging within a visual. And this action is going to count as starting a new selection, so all of your currently selected points will first be deselected before you start a new one. And so it'll look like, just like this. The reason that this action is not available in edit mode is because clicking and dragging inside a visual without holding any keys down in edit mode usually means I would like to move the visual. So there's a conflict there. A few things to note while the feature is in preview. The first one is that the number of data points you can select at once will be limited to 300. The second is that rectangle select will be enabled on a report-by-report basis in the service based on whether or not it was enabled when saved in desktop. So if you want rectangle select to be usable when you are viewing a report up in the service, make sure that you have enabled the preview feature in desktop on the PBIX and then republished it. And then lastly, since this is a preview feature, we are just rolling out rectangle select for visuals as we finish them. So the first three visuals that this will be available for are the line chart, the area charts, and the scatter chart. So hopefully, again, this really improves the intuitive data exploration aspect of cross-filtering, cross-highlighting, and selecting points. And we hope you enjoy. Thank you.
Next, we've added dynamic formatting support to more visuals. These allow you to set different format strings for individual data points, like measure values on tooltips, data labels, and axes. Originally, we supported this for the table and matrix, card, and multi-row card visuals. Now, this month, we're adding dynamic formatting to column and bar charts, scatter charts, line charts, and other visuals. Christian has also provided us with a demo showcasing what you can do with dynamic formatting.
Hello everyone, I'm Christian Wade and I'm the Program Management Lead for Semantic Modeling in Power BI. Today I'm going to talk about dynamic formatting of measures. This is something we're very excited to ship as you've been asking for it for a long time. And I'm going to go beyond the standard use cases to show you how you can have dynamic formatting based on values in the database to be data driven. Let's start off by dragging the time intelligence calculation group onto the columns of this matrix visual. We are dynamically calculating year to date and previous year, and you'll notice that year over year percentage is shown as a percentage. Historically, you could only do this using the format stats function, but that would return a string, so it was incompatible with any of the visuals that required a numeric data type. To show you what I mean, I'm going to switch this to a bar chart, which evidently requires a numeric data type. And as you can see, sales is shown as the dollar amount and it's working fine. But this time I'm going to apply the calculation group year over year percentage as a slicer. And you can see it works just fine. We can see the year over year as a percentage. How do we set this up? I'm going to come over to the new external tools ribbon. I'm going to launch the awesome tabular editor semantic modeling tool, which is where we define calculation groups, including time intelligence. So I'd like to point out year over year, previous year, as you can see, none of these have a format string expression defined. This is important because these calculation items will inherit the format string of the base measure. In the case we were just looking at, the base measure had a format of type currency, but if it had been a whole number like order count, it would have worked just fine and automatically inherited that format. Now in the case of year over year percentage, we are overriding the format string to be based on the percentage. Now what if we want to have the format string dynamically determined based on values in the dataset? A great example for that is currency conversion. So I'm going to come over to the converted currency calculation item and we'll look at the format string for this one, and this is actually a DAX function that is going to dynamically retrieve the format string from the currency table in the data set. To show you the format strings in the dataset, I'm going to open my favorite DAX authoring and optimization tool, being DAX Studio. We'll run a quick query here, and as you can see, the format strings are in the database. So what does this mean for the user experience? If I drag currency name onto the columns of the matrix visual this time, you can see that sales amount is not only converted to the foreign currency values, but it's also displayed using the foreign currency symbols. This is the only way to do true dynamic formatting of measures in Power BI, and we're very happy to put it in your hands. Thank you very much.
In the Analytics section, we're excited to announce that Q&A now supports SQL Direct Query sources, including SQL Server 2019, Azure SQL Database, and Azure Synapse Analytics. If you're using Direct Query mode for Q&A, you may also notice a Submit button is now available when typing your question. This is to prevent overloading the Direct Query source with unnecessary queries as the user types. We have a variety of updates for you in the Visualization section. First, xViz has released a new Power BI certified version of their linear gauge chart with a new progress bar formatting option. The visual also has several new formatting features, including data label enhancements for better positioning and formatting capabilities for the newly added vertical-oriented linear gauge. xViz has also released a new advanced pie and donut visual, which includes several pie and donut chart varieties and use cases into a single visual. Key features include 5 different chart options: top N ranking with an others grouping, donut charts with totals in the middle, data labeling formatting, and conditional formatting. Next, TME AG has released a ratings visual providing a variety of rating options for various performance indicators. These ratings can be displayed with 6 different shapes, can show you progress in percentage, and can be formatted to suit the needs of your report. TME AG has also released its toggle switch visual, which looks like a toggle switch and can show and hide data based on its state. Users can assign multiple values to switch on and off, and can also set the color of the switch. Mac Software has released its Drill Down Pie Pro Chart as part of its ZoomCharts suite, which brings signature drill down functionality, smooth animations, and rich customization options to the pie and donut charts. These features allow you to create visually appealing charts with deep data exploration capabilities. Next, the ADWISE RoadMap visual helps you plan, roadmap, and time schedule phases and milestones of your project or campaign. With the visuals all in one view, you can present all of your phases as well as key milestones. It also includes several formatting options to adjust its look and feel to your design needs. Links to more information about all of these visuals, as well as links to download them from AppSource, can be found in the video description below. This month, we've also added multiple new features to the ArcGIS Maps visual. ArcGIS Maps is an out-of-the-box mapping solution you can use with a simple click of the Esri icon. Now you'll find a new login screen if you want to sign into your ArcGIS account for additional features, a brand new interface allowing you to access all of your analysis tools in one place, new formatting options and toggles to give you more flexibility with presentation, an improved smart mapping functionality, and an improved GeoSearch feature. We're also happy to announce that we're extending admin capabilities for AppSource visuals. Now AppSource visuals can be managed through the organizational store in the admin portal. Renine will show us a demo of this feature.
So far, Power BI admins were able to manage only private visuals files through the Organizational Visuals page. If you have an admin account, you can go to the admin portal, Organizational Visuals page. Those visuals can be accessed by the entire organization through the My Organization tab. There is no need to share files through emails or share directories anymore. Those visuals are centrally managed by the admin. We extended the organizational visual store so that admins can manage also visuals from AppSource. we added a new option to this page where you can pick visuals directly from AppSource. You can pick all visuals that you want to manage, and the visuals will be listed as you see in this page. This way, you build your own gallery. AppSource visuals will retain certification and will continue to be updated automatically when a new version is available in AppSource. Now, you can make any of these visuals accessible directly from the visualization pane so that they will live side by side next to default visuals. For example, if you have some popular visuals or visuals that you purchase for the entire company, you can make them accessible and show up as out-of-the-box visuals. Let me show you. You switch on the setting. As you see, those visuals appear as out-of-the-box visuals. The rest of the organizational visuals can be accessed under the My Organization tab. Based on policy, preferences, or compliance inside your organization, you can decide whether to disable the AppSource gallery, enable it, which is the default, or enable only Power BI certified visuals. Whatever the policy is, that won't affect the My Organizational visuals, which are managed by Power BI admins.
We also have a new addition to our Power BI templates on AppSource. Template apps allow you to save time by connecting your own data to a pre-built report that you can personalize and share. New this month is the Agile CRM Analytics for Dynamics 365 app. This is a set of Power BI analytical reports for Dynamics 365 to give you better insights from your CRM data. If you're interested in trying out this template app, please check out its link in the video description below. Next, in the data preparation section, we're pleased to announce that the text or CSV by example feature in Power Query is now available for public preview. To start using the feature, you should enable Import Text Using Examples in the Preview Features page of the Options dialog. When using this feature, you'll see a new option to Extract Table Using Examples on the bottom left-hand corner of the File Preview dialog. Upon clicking the button, you'll be taken into the Extract Table Using Examples experience, allowing you to specify sample output values for the data you'd like to extract from your text or CSV file. After you construct the table, you can click Load or Transform to complete the Get data flow. The resulting queries will show you a complete breakdown of all of the steps that were inferred for data extraction, which you can customize as needed. Next, in the data connectivity section, we're happy to bring you 3 new data connectors. First is the Cherwell connector, allowing you to bring in data from your instance of Cherwell Service Management 10.0. CSM 10.0 enables real-time collaboration and accelerates incident resolution. Next is the Automation Anywhere connector. Automation Anywhere is a leading robotic process automation platform that enables automation of enterprise business processes. Connecting with Power BI allows you to easily integrate RPA data into your Power BI dashboards from their platform. And finally, the Acterys connector helps you get data from the Acterys integrated platform for data warehouse automation, corporate performance management, and financial planning and analytics for Microsoft Azure, Power BI, and Excel. All 3 of these connectors will soon be available in the other section of the Get Data dialog. And that's all for this month. We hope you enjoy the updates, and please keep sending us feedback on what you'd like to see in upcoming releases. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next month.